Peace. Welcome to the YouTube live book reading of The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop. Peace, peace. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel, Divine Rising. It's book reading time. Peace, YouTube. Every time you see me sitting in Lotus reading a book, I can guarantee that I'm making someone very upset. We pick up in this 12th chapter. Yes. Reply to a critic. And it's a beautiful, prosperous day. And last night I was in the white cloud, just cleaning it all out. And man, we had some wonderful, wonderful dreams and rest, writing poetry and loving on one another, uplifting, very uplifting. So for all of you that were there last night, yeah, you got to see it. I mean, we saw someone that couldn't walk, literally get up and walk after a year healing session. Very powerful. It's just amazing what we can do, especially when we have a collection of energy building up a certain energy. Like group toning. Yeah. When we used to go through the vowel scale in group toning, there's another way of community healing. So we're all going through the vowels at the same time. And it's very powerful, very powerful. All right, we pick up at page 239. Divine Rising, welcome YouTube. At the bottom of page 239, this is the 52nd edition of this book reading. All right. Still, in according to Kuhn, the conventional representations reveal a slim body, narrow hips, small hands and feet. The head and face are those of a smoothly contoured, fine Mediterranean form. Numerous upper-class types represented by these portraits looked strikingly like modern Europeans. Page 96. On the contrary, the type of certain pharaohs, like Ramses II, appears related to the Aberdeen type. If the reader, after carefully examining all the reproductions of pharaohs and other dignitaries, and noting the social significance of some and the insignificance of others in Egyptian society of that day, then rereads the above passage, he will have cause to meditate on the scientific validity of the conventional text. Here's some more of his writing that we're refuting in this reply to a critic in chapter 12. The pigmentation of the Egyptian was usually a brunette white. In the conventional figures, the men are represented as red, the women often as lighter and even white, and the daughter of Cheops, builder of the Great Pyramid, was a definite blonde. Toward the south, near Aswan, the population was evidently darker, browner, reddish brown. In their paintings and sculptures, the Egyptians depicted foreigners with their racial characteristics, besides the Libyans, who have Nordic features as well as coloring. Asiatics with prominent noses and curly hair, sea peoples from the Mediterranean with lighter skins and a more pronounced facial relief than the Egyptians are also shown, as well as Negroes. And later, the Mediterranean pigmentation of the Egyptians has probably not changed during the last 5,000 years. Page 98. That is the opinion of the anthropologist. I leave it up to you to draw a conclusion, but I cannot help finding it difficult to maintain that a people whose principal components were Mediterranean could be Negro, especially after all the details provided by Kuhn, who incidentally nevertheless recognizes Negro contributions. Singling out Cheop's daughter as a definite blonde would prove that this was rare, if accurate. The Egyptians were so little white that when they encountered a white person with red hair, they killed him immediately as a sick person, unable to adapt to life. This was certainly a regrettable but comprehensible prejudice between two different races during those remote epochs of history. However, we have an opportunity to scrutinize the profile of Shephren, Cheop's son or brother, which is identified with that of the Giza Sphinx. As we look, we are easily convinced that the hypothetical daughter of Cheops did not owe the color of her blonde hair to her father. As early as the Sixth Dynasty, under Pepe I and his chancellor, Uni, Egypt began to import white women from Asia. Moreover, Cheops is supposed to have gone so far as to prostitute his daughters to finish building his pyramid, the Great Pyramid that would become his grave. Was it not perhaps rather a question of importing foreign girls for purposes of prostitution? Page 241 at the top. Oh, peace, divine rising. Welcome to this peaceful part of YouTube. We read books and learn from masters. Peace, Irene. Divine days and nights. Thank you for being here in this peaceful part. Concerning Mauney's conclusion, need I recall that according to the most recent anthropological studies, a plurality, 36% of the Egyptian population was Negroid. In the proto-dynastic epic, Mauney is mistaken about the term Mediterranean. It is a euphemism for Negroid when used by the anthropologist. In any case, it means non white, as is evident from what precedes. What is involved here is the brown race in the melodermic sense of the Sergi and Elliott Smith. This conclusion is not even a faithful reflection of the foresighted facts from Kuhn's volume. For we cannot see how the principal components are Mediterranean in the Cro Magnon sense of the word, since they are only brown whites, brown reds, browns of the Abyssinian type, browns with Negroid tendency, the less Negroid Nakata type, and so on. He's quoting him when he's saying that. Thank you so much. Peace. We're at the middle of page 241 is where we are right now. The African origin of civilization, myth, or reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta. And I'm loving reading this 12th chapter. We are flying through this book. We'll be able to put it down soon, and I will finish compiling my new book when we complete this book and prepare it for publishing. Manifesting Dreams is coming. All right. So here's another passage from Mauney. All right. So we're reading another passage from him critiquing Dr. Cheikh Anta. According to C.A.D, ancient authors have also stated that the Egyptians were Negroes. Herodotus, the father of history, who wrote about 450 BCE, is quite rightly called upon, for he visited Egypt. But are C.A. Diop's examples as convincing as he thinks? For example, it is not to Egypt that Herodotus is referring in section 2, page 22, when he says they are black from the heat, but to inhabitants of the southern lands, the Ethiopians. By calling the dove black, they indicated that the woman was an Ethiopian or Egyptian. In section 2, page 57. Were not the Greeks, the Hebrews had the same reaction, inclined to all the Egyptians blacks because the latter were darker than they, which is true? Do we not use the same expression in France, whence the family names Morel, Moreau, Lenoir, Negre, etc., to designate persons darker than the average? A Nordic is clearly aware of having lighter skin than a Spaniard or Southern Italian. He will speak of dark skin, brown skin, even black skin, just as we do. Moreover, with regard to bathers who acquire suntans on the beaches in summer, neither of these is a Negro. Is the example of the Colchians any better? The author quotes a passage from Herodotus. The Egyptians said that they believed the Colchians to be descended from Sistral's army. My own conjectures were founded, first, on the fact that they are black skinned and have woolly hair. But why did Mr. Diop fail to include the rest of the passage? This amounts to but little, since several other nations are so too. And the adjective melanochoros or melochoros used by Herodotus does not necessarily mean black. In 1948, Legrand translated it, having brown skin. On the subject, cf. also F.M. Snowden, The Negro in Ancient Greece, 1948, page 34. In the next example, concerning the Indians of the South, I see nowhere mentioned the fact that the Egyptians were blacks. It is solely a question of Ethiopians. Now back to Diop. What precisely is remarkable is that in a digression on the sources of the Nile, Herodotus happens to apply the same ethnic objective to the Melanchoros, to the Ethiopians reputed to be black, and to the Egyptians that one would like to whiten and consider as a luciderms. To translate Melanchoros as having brown skin is to take a liberty justified only by a priori ideas on the ideas on the skin color of the Egyptians. This is the strongest term existing in Greek to denote blackness. Strictly speaking, it should be translated as Negro, Niger, Gra, Grum. Peace. Fine days and nights. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Reading books on YouTube, the peaceful part of YouTube, where you can just come in, relax. I read to you, or you can put it in the replay. And also, and do research, your own research from it. I put a brief vocabulary in the description when it's finished uploading. So, divine days and nights, divine rising. Welcome and thank you for being here. Oh, I love to reading. Thank you, Pedro. Yes. Right? It expands our vocabulary and our imagination. Reading is so powerful. Thank you so much for the likes and subs. Much love. Pushing the 700. Just reading books on this part of YouTube. That's why we call it the peaceful part. All right. So we're in the middle of page 242. We read very long books too, very high, big vocabulary books like this. The African origin of civilization, myth, or reality. And now we're in the 12th chapter. All right. In the middle of page 242. The attitude, which consists of resorting to an insane misinterpretation of text instead of accepting the evidence, is typical of modern scholarship. It reflects the special state of mind that prompts one to seek secondary meanings for words rather than give them their usual significance. For that is how deeply embedded a priori ideas have become. It is necessary to reread Herodotus' passages in context to know that no scholar whatsoever is entitled to give words a meaning differing from their real connotation. Herodotus was aware that he was describing a Negro race in the proper sense of the term. A race whose morphological qualities are diametrically opposed to his own, in the same sense, opposites: black, white, frizzy, straight, etc. For him, it was not a question of tonalities or nuances within a single race, as Mauney would understand it. For instance, as a distinction between Nordic and Spaniard. The fact that Egyptians had black skin was for Herodotus an evident truth that he posits, like a mathematician, as an axiom to lead subsequently to the demonstration of more complex facts. Thus, the doves in question are only symbols of two women whom the Phoenician traders allegedly took from Thebes to sell them, one in Libya, the Oracle of Ammon, the other in Dodona in Greece. Herodotus wished to show the profound influence of Egypt on Greece, especially in religion. In this particular case, he wanted to prove that the oracle of Ammon and that of Dodona are of Egyptian origin and were founded by women kidnapped from the capital of Upper Egypt, Thebes. He draws this conclusion from the fact that the women are black. See? Ding, ding, ding. Connect the dots. To attribute any other meaning to the text does not reflect scientific scholarship. It merely indicates an imperious determination to skirt around the facts, to hold on to what one wants to believe. All the passages from Herodotus are equally explicit from this point of view. And we'll pause right here. Fine, Roger. Thank you so much for reading with us. We're in the 12th chapter, Reply to a Critic. The African Origin of Civilization, Myth, or Reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta. Oh, and it's translated and edited by Mercer Cook. We're shaking it up on YouTube. Look at this. Oh, this Golden Healer is just talking to me, right? Much love. Thank you for reading. It makes a lot of sense, right? Yes, it does. And that's why reading it in certain contexts, instead of just reading words, but actually giving um, voice inflection in certain areas and stuff, is a part of mastering book reading out loud, because it's a lot different reading to yourself as opposed to reading out loud. And so another master gem I wanted to give to the youth coming into this world is, once you get in your comfortable place and you're reading, to level up your reading is to read it out loud. And so much love, much love. Thank you. Feather, amazingly. Thank you. I found the feather. Yay. Is that Pedro? Yes, this is the peaceful part of YouTube. We have all different types of beautiful feathers. And you see right here behind me, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You want to see what it is? I'll show you. We love animal lovers and peaceful people. So let me show you what this is. It's a real wing. Boy, isn't that beautiful? Found it on my walk, and that's why I always say, when you go out into the world to shine your light and take a walk, look up. Look up. You might catch a great glimpse, like I did the other day, of two hawks just flying. And I was telling the story how I looked up and I was like, I didn't see anything. And then I looked up even more and they were right over top of me. That's another divine lesson. Thank you so much. And bouncing from an Addison's brownish 2 inches max from the feather. Powerful, Pedro. Thank you for that. Leaving that in the Mbangi. Much love. Yeah. Much love. Divine days and nights. So let's have a glass of love water in honor of our people's friends, families, soul returns. Right? We give honor to our friends and family on this page, and we to have a glass of love water to show that honor. So thank you so much for being here. And also, to any of our friends and family that have elevated, we want to show honor as well with a glass of love water. Respect and honor on your journey as you travel through the universe, becoming one again with the source. Highest heart love and honor. We love you. We love you. Oh, that's great love water. I love you. I love you. I love you. Fine days and nights. Shaking it up on YouTube, reading books. And so grateful and thankful for all of you. I want you to have a wonderful day when you go out there and shake it up in the world, shining your light. Yeah. I'll give this gem today. just because. So, in the Bible, right? Because this this book ends up dealing a lot with race, which is actually the most easiest part to, you know, to deal with because they have depictions, right? They made sculptures and stuff of themselves. What I want you to do is you can look this up in one of your Bibles, right? Now, when Jesus was walking the planet, Yeshua, right? In the Bible, it says in one part that he was betrayed, and he was betrayed by a kiss, right? And why was that kiss given? That's right. He was told to identify who this Messiah was, who the Christ was, and how he was going to identify him was to give a kiss. Now, let's use our fundamental understanding of what we know in our world. When we look at this and we say, wait, was Jesus Greek? Was Yeshua Greek? No, but that's what the Bible was written in. Was Yeshua Roman? No. Those were the only two white types in that time. Now, Yeshua gets discovered by a kiss, right? Judas is supposed to say and inform them who the Christ is by giving a kiss. And they say, oh, he was giving him the kiss of death, and all these other, because we know the Bible also has esoteric meanings inside of it. But what he was doing is what they still do to this day. They say all black people look alike, right? Especially coming from someone that's white and Pontius Pilate, who was a Roman, putting Christ to death eventually, right? So he wanted to find out which one of these guys is Christ, is the Messiah. So Judas had to go lay a kiss on the Christ. And that's because they always think, being the Romans, that all black people look alike. He was identifying his own black brother. Like I said, Yeshua wasn't Roman, he wasn't Greek, and all those other people were black. So this book is interesting because so many people get caught up on the race when that's the furthest thing from what the ancients were thinking at all. They weren't thinking about race. They were thinking about righteousness or being balanced with Ma'at, and Ma'at Ra, Setepet Ra, Ursa Ma'at Ra. This is an understanding of balance and being righteous. justice, being just. Thank you so much for reading with us. All right, let's sing I Love You. Thank you so much for being here and reading with us and breathing with us. Now let's sing I Love You to our friends and family and go shine our light out in the world. All right. Ay, 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 ay. Love, 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 love. You. Ay, 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 ay. Love, 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 love. You, you. You know, because I love myself. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bless, Pedro. Peace, peace.